Have you been wanting to learn CSS, HTML, and JavaScript, but don't want to mess around with installing a bunch of software on your machine, or don't really know where to get started? In this video, I'm going to show you how to use just your browser to play around with all three of those things and get your feet wet with trying out HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and see if you really like it and be able to play around with any production website on the internet and maybe style it into 2.0. So let's get started and I'll show you all the cool stuff. All right, what I have here is my Chrome browser. I have just an incognito window, but if we open up the inspect here, then we can see our dev tools, and this may open on the right hand side for you by default. I moved it over so that we could see it and my face wouldn't be in the way. You can also open it up by doing Command Option J if you're on a Mac. Some cool keyboard shortcuts. We're just on my personal webpage, andrewcorder.com, and I'll show you all these cool things. So as you can see on the left here, we have all the HTML laid out under this Elements tab, and there's a few different tabs here that you don't really need to pay attention to at the moment. This can give you a ton of information in building web pages and also styling them and giving you a lot of really cool control. In here we can see all the different HTML elements. This is built pretty normally, so we have HTML, a head tag, and a body tag, and then from there we have a bunch of divs and some navs and stuff. This is the section where you can modify different HTML elements. So if we wanted to click in here and do edit as HTML, then we can hit enter once, and we could put a H1 tag and say hello world. And if we hit not enter, if we click out of it, then we could see that here at the top of the page. Now, if we wanted to style this element, we can inspect this and it'll select that element for us. And down here in the styles, this is where all the CSS is set for the web page. So there's a bunch in here, as you can see, but the only thing we care about is this first element style. So this is going to override everything. And so if we did like a background red, then we see that reflected up here, and we can change the color of just that element. We could even change the font size and make it like, a 12 rem, make it really big. All the CSS attributes we can imagine can get applied to this, and we can style it to our heart's content. Like I mentioned before, like you can load up Facebook and mix and match things and like shift them around if you really wanted to. So feel free to customize any website, and you can do it all through the elements here. Now, if you refresh the page or you go to a different page, you'll lose all of that. So this is more temporary than a long-lasting web page that you would modify and style. In that case, you should probably bring up just like a text editor. Like I usually have like VS Code, or you could even use like Notepad++ or whatever text editor you're comfortable in, Sublime Text even, and modify your HTML, and then you can open it up into a web page just in your browser and it'll render for you. Now, moving on to JavaScript. So we have, our different CSS we've set inline. Again, if you refresh the page, you lose it. But if we wanted to do some JavaScript, so if you don't have this console window open, so you might have it looking like this, just hit escape and it'll show up. And then the typical hello world in JavaScript is called a console.log. And in there, we can say hello world. And if we hit enter, then we see that output right there. Now, a lot of websites have jQuery. There's like a built-in document element finder using just normal DOM manipulation. But if we have jQuery, then we can do some selectors like this and programmatically modify elements on the web page. So if we do this and we select a div, so we get this whole section, which is the whole website here. Basically this element we're selecting. And if we wanted to set a new attribute on it, we could say we want to set the background to be blue maybe. And you can see that update here at the top. And if we wanted to change it to a different color, then we could say like, yellow or something, and we'll see that update. You can run all kinds of different JavaScript commands right here in the console. You can modify CSS and HTML as well using these developer tools in Chrome. You can get your feet wet and get started just by doing this, and give it a try. See if you enjoy programming I really like to recommend this for people getting started, because if you're doing some of the backend stuff like Java, Python, you usually have to do like a console log or output to the screen something to know that your program is doing the right thing or that it's behaving correctly. And that's not quite as satisfying for a lot of people. And so HTML and CSS gives you a lot more visual cues to understand, hey, I'm doing things right, or more motivation to say like, this is cool, I want to keep playing around with it. Give this a try, especially if you're getting started. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.